Good afternoon, everyone. David Dubine here. Thank you for spending your valuable time with the Adapt 2030 channel. If you dig deep enough, you might uncover chapters of past history. And knowing that, you may want to have a flow-through gravity water filter. Shadow stats, new inflation 17.5% in the US. Numbers running through Europe, at least 10%. Domino and freefall, Chile. Personal consumption off a cliff, US. Equity bears, meaning stock prices are going to drop highest ever. BlackRock and Vanguard taking over the food supply. Somehow inverting which is less dangerous. How long do your seeds last? And measuring inflation, a house for almost $2,000. Economic crisis going to be big. We're going to need to dig back into our gold stash. And as always, lost chapters of history found again above 1932. I'm going to be focusing on the 1930s Great Depression tonight in the video compared to 2018. What was unknown at the time was known before. It's a cycle. We are in another one. Why were these vast structures abandoned, left back to nature, only to be rediscovered, excavated? Civilizations before us. But they all had one thing in common. Gold and silver have stood the test of time for 8,000 years. And here we go. We might need our stash again. Shadow stats coming in 17.5%. Consumer inflation far higher than the official numbers. So when you look at AFP saying 8.6% in the Eurozone, I'm wondering if that'll be matching what was in the US, around 17%. Data off the map here. I guess if you were to crunch all those together, you would get 8.6. The cost to produce products in Spain alone, 43.6% higher. But they're only showing 10% in the country. Little time lag there. And when you see this happen to the currency, then they're having a problem with the food as well. Chilean peso. Look for food prices to get really expensive in that country. Next domino, perhaps. Now think about this chart from May of the countries with inflation compared to where they say we sit today. 2 months later and prices up 50% in some food items. Do you notice something in your life going up in price? And off the Federal Reserve site, real personal consumption, expenditures like you or somebody else buying something, dropping off a cliff like it did in the great financial crisis of 2008 and 9. Folgers coffee, right around $10, July 2021, now $14.46. Do you think that's 8%? Gasoline prices, July 2022. Nice colored map here, super easy to see where it is. $4 a gallon and more. I love how they jumped from 4 to 5.5. That's a huge jump there. $1.50 a gallon. Notice everywhere is green. The way they did the statistics is interesting. If they would have pulled it from 4 to 4.50, 4.50 to $5, and $5 to 5.50, there'd be an enormous amount more states, much higher price than you're seeing because the next tick up is 5.50. Do you remember how Facebook went down in October 2021? Recently in Canada, people couldn't even use their debit cards. That's how easy it is to shut down access to websites. Internet may be working, but the domain names don't. That's why you can't rely on old school internet websites. They can simply be cut off. Thankfully now there's a new social media platform called Bastyon. I'm active on Bastyon right now with the Adapt 2030 channel. You can follow me there. And also, the description box below the video, there's a link where you can download the Bastyon app. And as long as the internet's running, you can never be blocked. So you can see video creators like myself and others. Bastyon is anonymous, even has a Tor network built in, so there's no need for a VPN. And if you follow me there, the Bastyon developers have announced that anyone following me there commenting on the videos twice on Bastyon receives a gift of 2 Pocketcoin automatically to your Bastyon profile. Once you download the app and install it, select sign up. You'll simply create a nickname. No personal information is required. You can add an avatar like I did to your profile or not. You'll get your own special private key. So you own it. Your keys, your feed. It's your login and your password all in one. Don't share it with anybody. You have to write down the private key. And remember, you're responsible. So if it's lost, it cannot be recovered. So let me show you my feed, where an enormous amount of content creators are heading to. And after you download the Bastyon app, just like anything that you would see at Twitter, you got your subscriptions, you got the videos that you could watch, different categories. What I want to do is pop the link in here. I was talking about the Ukrainian grain harvest. Only 29% compared to last year. That's a 70% reduction. Still not sure how they're going to move that, especially when supply chain's broken down. I'm just going to post it here. And away we go. That's off the desktop app. But at the same time, when I'm in my account, but on the browser version here, same exact thing. I've been able to load up the videos I've done through the Adapt 2030 channel, plus different types of information I'm coming across as I surf through the web. And it's so clean the way it's put up here for me to look into my feed and also the notifications at the top there. So give Bastyon a try. Like I said, that link's in the description box below. Click and go. And even if you want to register anonymously, you can. Private keys on the blockchain. It's as simple and as fast as that. Download Bastyon today, and I will see you there. Make sure you leave a comment in my feed and also join so you can get the latest updates from the Adapt 2030 channel. And now on with the video. Moving over to selected U.S. consumer goods and services and wages. More expensive, hospital services. 80% right there, food, beverage, housing. This is coming off the Bureau of Labor Statistics as well. So you see the mishmash of figures here. One agency says one thing, another says another. You try to get an overall gauge, but whatever's going on everywhere in the world is experiencing the same thing with this inflation, runaway food pricing. It's a global event as much as the vid was. It's just a different facet of it. The entire world's experiencing the exact same thing with the exact same measures. So get ready to spend more. You might want to start thinking about growing some of your own food as well. Let's start off with some inflation here. Numbers to look at. 1930s, Sears and Roebuck. You could buy a house for $2,531. Do you think you could buy a house today with the same $2,531 because it's the exact same dollar that was purchasing that house at that time? Has your purchasing power eroded, do you think? Look at that, 6 rooms and baths. $45 to $55 a month. Yeah, and you could say, well, they didn't make as much money back then. Well, when they put them on public works projects during the Great Depression, $15 a day was the wage. So you got to think about if they ran through $40, $50 for a mortgage, everybody could get a house then. Oh, what a great way to restart the economy or reduce the value back to 100% purchasing power again and start over. I wonder if we're heading right in that direction. Do you think? Here's another one, Maplewood, the already cut fitted home. $35 to $45 on this payment right there. That's a nice house, fireplace. Probably comes on a piece of land. I see some gardens there. But here, if you were going to get just a beginner starter home, and they show you all the dimensions too. The kitchen's 13 by 10. You get a living room, a dining room, a reception hall. Nice, 11 feet long, almost 12 foot long. Bedrooms, 6. And all for the price of $1,995. But again, even back then, they said, also you have to paint it and complete everything for ready for use for occupancy. Full 9 rooms, $3,000 in and out. Thanks for your business. If it was $3,000 a house now, I will take one. Because whatever's happening out there, every single indicator that it could be in person out talking on the news anywhere is saying something this way large comes, it's going to crash markets. It's going to be the biggest crash ever, back to the Roman Empire. So get ready. Unanimous across all news waves and airwaves. So when you see BlackRock and Vanguard jumping in, taking over the centralized food production, technology, supply chains, where's America's food future? Because I had a talk with a 30-year grain trader who was saying if there's a breakdown in the markets and somehow the Chicago Board of Trade won't be able to facilitate grain deliveries, basic foodstuffs, this year, either in September, November, December, then it would lock up the entire system from that point, and companies would go direct over to the silos of the grain storage facilities and deal directly with the buyer right there on the spot. You got the grains, I want your grain. Here's the cash, or whatever medium of exchange they're using, because it'll be such a vast breakdown. When I said, well, yeah, each individual grain silo will bargain for themselves, and he's like, ooh. No, it's going to be something like Cargill will own all the production around. Well, this is very much something the same thing. Now, what if it is only one player to sell all the grains that has all production, a monopoly over all grains sold? One-stop shop. You go there, they'll even arrange the transportation for you from the silos to your factory. Because at that point, which supply chains are going to have to be companies individually running them, not under what we know as today, the behemoth of the supply chain. It'll start breaking down too. Interesting how it matches up with the Vanguard BlackRock article here with food supplies. I was told the exact same thing. The name mentioned was Cargill, and then I came across this article and it fits the exact same MO as what was described to me. Maybe it's not Cargill. Maybe it is Vanguard and BlackRock. But they'll need to partner with somebody who knows about that, which will be Cargill. Because somehow, I love these bison. Always been wanting to see those in person. See how this is flipped on its head a little bit? Because we are talking about the earth itself. Which one's safer? Because it does look like this cartoon, as much as it is a cartoon, is prophetic. Christ is going to be way bigger than the vid. So when I mentioned about growing your own foods, take a look at this list here. How long will your seeds last if you store them well in a cool, dark, dry place, and you keep them in the packet that they came in, the paper package? Beans, 5 to 8 years. I guess if you were going to buy them anywhere, even in a supermarket, you could store them for 5 to 8 years. So I encourage you to go through the entire list where chard seeds last up to 10 years, celery seeds 12 years, cucumber seeds 14 years, the winner on the list there. But if you look anywhere, the minimum is onion and parsnip at 2 years, and then after that everything is 3 years plus. Because even Larry Fink is talking about food. Because if you know they're all talking about food, the largest companies on the planet, you need to be growing your own food. And here's Larry Fink, BlackRock CEO. One thing I worry about that we don't talk enough about is food. Why is that, Larry? And Fink says we talk a lot about gasoline prices because that's what affects Americans. But the bigger issue is food. And not only that, water. That's why I showed you those gravity-fed water filters there. Food can control a civilization. Either you have it or you don't. Those that have it control who doesn't have it. Think about that for a second as you get some preps ready for the weekend here. Also, salt. And I came across this image here. Think about salt. Where would you get salt from? If there was a breakdown, you needed salt. Have you thought about that? I mean, where do you really just go out to find salt if your stores are completely out of it and neighbors don't have it either? You'd have to do something like this. Start to think about damming up a lake that drains naturally, a salt lake, farming it on the right for the algae right near Sambar, and then when it dries out in the summertime, then you could take all the salt that nature provided. There you go. Remember the salt root. Salt was worth its weight in gold. A one-for-one measure as little as 800 years ago. And in these times of uncertainty, emergency food supply, Adapt 2030, My Patriot Supply, 25-year shelf life, take $150 off, 3-month emergency food supply. Use the code ADAPT. The link's in the description box below. It's a great way to support the channel so I can bring you more information like this, and whatever we do, I'm in it with you. Grow your own food, filter your own water, make sure you have what you need to keep your body running, salts, oils. As this thing moves forward, those are the basics of the basics that you need to keep your thought process functioning correctly. So thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of the video, and I'll see you next time.